Ko was an ugly ogre who avoided girls because he didn't believe in love. However, his life changes when a freaky vampire girl bites him and tells him the only way to save his life is to clap her cheeks. It all started when Ko lost interest in studies and developed insomnia. As a result, he started sneaking out at night to have fun. It was during one of these nights when Ko suddenly gets the urge to drink beer. So he stops by a vending machine, but just when he's about to get his hands on it, a crazy girl suddenly shows up and tells him that he's not old enough to have a beer. Ko tries to run, but the girl holds him and assures she ain't no snitch. Removing her hood, she introduces herself as Nazuna and says she can tell he has trouble sleeping at night, and she can help him with that. Knowing that crazy chicks give the best sloppies, Ko tags along, quietly listening to Nazuna, who reveals that people have trouble sleeping at night because they're dissatisfied with how they spent their day. She shows Ko a bunch of sleeping drunkards and states they're sleeping soundly because they spent the day doing something productive like sucking up to their boss. She then high-fives them all before walking away, and Ko asks her why she's so casual with strangers. Nazuna replies that if he doesn't let loose, he'll never be satisfied with his pathetic life. This hits Ko like a truck, and he instantly goes back to also high-five the men, but one of the old jerks ends up vomiting on his Yeezys. Nazuna laughs, but then asks Ko if he feels different after letting loose, and he admits that he somehow feels better. Upon hearing this, Nazuna tells Ko to come with her to her apartment if he wants to have more fun. Curious what Nazuna has planned, Ko quietly follows her home and is shocked to see her stripping. Now scared, Ko is about to run off when Nazuna stops him and says that she merely wants to help him sleep. So Ko stops resisting and lies down on Nazuna's bed while she gently encourages him to relax. For once, Ko starts to feel sleepy and wonders if Nazuna is sent by God to help him. Meanwhile, Nazuna thinks he's fallen asleep and puts on her game face. Right before digging her fangs into his neck, as she sips his blood, she is taken back by how yummy he tastes. Just then, Ko wakes and asks him what she was doing, which catches her off guard because she thought he had dozed off. Nazuna tries to lie by blaming everything on Mosquito, but knowing it's a lie, Ko asks her directly if she's a vampire. Nazuna casually admits that she is, which makes Ko spiral out as he wonders if he's a vampire now. However, Nazuna quickly assures him that he's still human, which fills him with so much disappointment. Seeing him crash out, Nazuna hesitantly reveals that vampires are only made when humans willingly fall in love with a vampire and allow the same vampire to suck their blood. Upon hearing the word love, Ko becomes awkward while Nazuna begins to blush hard, so they decide to go outside to cool off. Now, in the breeze of the night, Ko admits that he doesn't understand love stuff because he doesn't like girls.
Why are you gay?
Shocked, Nazuna asks him if he's coming out to her when Ko clarifies that he's not and reveals how at school. He broke a girl's heart by refusing to date her, and as a result, her girlfriends bullied him and made him feel so bad that he decided to quit school altogether. After hearing his story, Nazuna starts floating in the air like Max. She then assures him that it's okay to live like a night owl because it's more fun this way. Something snaps within Ko as he begs Nazuna to turn him into a vampire, and when she tries to remind him of the conditions, he confidently states that he will try his best to fall in love with her because he loves the thrill of the night and wants to become a vampire, so he can keep experiencing this feeling. In response, Nazuna tells Ko that she's not interested in love and is just here to suck his blood, but he is welcome to fall in love with her if he wants. After striking the deal, Nazuna takes him atop a huge building and pushes Ko off the roof for the thrill. Just when he thinks he's going to meet God, she grabs him and says they'll be having lots of fun together. The next night, Ko breathes in the night, already sensing the fun he is about to have. Without further delay, he heads to the park to meet Nazuna, who begins to reveal more about the subject of vampires and offspring. She tells him that for vampires, sucking blood is sometimes like eating and copulating at the same time. Suddenly, Ko's eyes land on those milky white thighs, and he blushes slightly.
Yeah, boy.
Asking Nazuna why she is always talking about getting freaky and making minions. Nazuna instantly jumps on this opportunity and teases him further by making lewd signals with her hands, which flusters Ko. Seeing him irritated, Nazuna gets all serious and asks him if he has forgotten his goal. Ko quickly tells her that he's still serious about becoming a vampire, so he's going to fall in love with her. This time, it's Nazuna's turn to blush, and she tells Ko to shut his trap. Ignoring her, he asks her if she wants something in return, and Nazuna reveals that she just wants to taste his blood again. Upon hearing this, he signals her to drink up by pulling down his shirt, which makes Nazuna's demonic box so wet that she asks Ko in embarrassment if he has no shame. Turning away from the sight, the vampire tells Ko that he's motherless for exposing himself so casually. Confused, Ko wonders if Nazuna was dropped as an infant and later asks himself if he'll be able to fall in love with a psychotic chick like Nazuna. The following night, Ko tries to find Nazuna, but is unable to do so. Out of desperation, he decides to search for her again when he suddenly realizes that he doesn't really need to see her every night. But just as the thought pops in his head, the vampire appears out of nowhere and casually greets Ko, who looks at her all pissed and complains that he had been looking for her all over the city. In return, Nazuna tells him that she was trying to find her next victim to drink from, which annoys Ko further. So out of jealousy, he calls her a hoe and asks her why she couldn't have his blood. Now equally riled up, Nazuna reminds him that vampires are supposed to drink blood from anyone they like. However, Ko counters that she was the one who told him vampires copulate by drinking blood, so she is a Thoughtsilla for drinking blood from just anyone. Not wanting to argue further, Ko changes the subject and tells Nazuna that he doesn't want to search for her every night and asks her for her Snapchat. In response, Nazuna smirks and asks if it's because he wants to exchange thirst traps, but Ko quickly tells her that his intentions are pure. On that note, Nazuna reveals that she doesn't own a cell phone, which surprises Ko, who had never thought Nazuna was a boomer. In this state of confusion, he asks her why she doesn't own a phone, and she reveals that she has never needed one. All of a sudden, she remembers something and tells Ko they should go to her apartment. Once they arrive at the apartment, Nazuna rummages through her things and reveals a cellular phone. Surprised by the sight of it, Ko tells her that the thing is huge, and Nazuna calmly says the bigger the better, instantly upsetting his millimeter Peter, shrugging away his feelings. He then tells Nazuna to carry the phone around so they can link up, but she tells him she's not flying around with something that big. Fed up with her BS, Ko screams at her why she even has something so inconvenient in the first place, and Nazuna admits that she got the phone during World War as she wanted to snap hot soldiers. Before Ko can inquire about the subject, Nazuna lies on her bed, revealing she is exhausted. Thinking it is time to go, Ko stands up to leave when Nazuna stops him and asks if he isn't going to join Mommy. Despite his initial embarrassment, Ko joins Nazuna and wonders if he is insane for not wanting Nazuna to drink off of someone other than him. So when she asks him if she can sip his blood, Ko coldly says no. Now frustrated, Nazuna throws a fit and calls Ko a liar for leading her on, who in response mutters that she should just drink from randos. Sighing deeply, Nazuna then finally reveals that she was also looking for him, but didn't want to tell him this because she's a girl boss. Upon hearing this, Ko reveals his neck and beckons her to drink from him. A smirk plays on Nazuna's lips as she realizes men are simple-minded fools before feasting on Ko's blood. After her girl dinner, Nazuna falls asleep while Ko lies awake, realizing that he feels relieved because their feelings were mutual and they both wanted to see each other. The next night, Ko once again searches all over for Nazuna, and when he's unable to locate her, he decides to rest in a park. Suddenly, Nazuna descends from the sky and greets Ko, revealing that she was looking all over the city for him. Already fed up with this issue, Ko unveils a watch and tells Nazuna that it's a wristwatch transceiver. Seeing this, Nazuna flings her arms like an excited girl, to which Ko tells her that she doesn't need to act like their ancestors who are seeing fire for the first time. Ignoring him, Nazuna asks if they are going to play with the transceiver, but Ko flatly tells her that it's for communication. However, Nazuna remains adamant and says that they should play with the transceivers. Suddenly, Ko recalls that he had initially bought them for the purpose of playing when he later realized that he would need a friend or two to make it work. So in a desperate attempt, he placed the spare transceiver in his building's lockers, hoping to befriend whoever finds it. Days went by, and when he checked, he realized somebody had picked up his spare transceiver, and yet he never received a call. Upon hearing this, Nazuna laughs and realizes that Ko was lonelier than Naruto in his younger days. After laughing her mind off, Nazuna takes the transceiver from Ko and teases him by saying that they can even use the transceiver if their privates feel a bit lonely. With that, Nazuna tells Ko that it's time to play now. Once she leaves, Ko realizes how nice it is to have someone to hang out with, and then calls Nazuna with his transceiver. When she responds, Ko jokingly tells her that it feels like they're a couple who just started dating, which makes Nazuna blush. After goofing around with the transceivers, Nazuna takes Ko to his school, where she drinks his blood. For the first time, Ko feels his wee-wee tingle with excitement, so he boldly asks her if they can use first names from now on. Nazuna blushes in response and tells Ko to go home. On his way back, Ko looks at his old transceiver and wonders who picked up its spare when he suddenly hears his name. Turning around, he spots a girl wearing his spare transceiver who asks him what he's up to, quickly recognizing her as Akira. Ko asks her why she has his transceiver. Akira reveals that he was the one who gave it to him, so she never got rid of it. Now baffled, Ko wonders what is going on when Akira speaks again, revealing how she waited for him to buzz her, but he never did, so she eventually forgot about it. With that said, she asks him why he hasn't been to school lately, but Ko, still on the subject, asks her to explain what she means when she said that he gave the transceiver to her. Akira blankly replies that he left the thing on top of her family's locker. Once everything becomes clear to Ko, he tries to tell Akira that there has been a huge misunderstanding, but before he can do that, she smiles and tells him that she is glad her friend is doing okay. The word catches Ko by surprise while Akira tells him that back then, she wasn't sure if he thought of her as a friend, though when she saw him put the transceiver on her family's locker, she became sure that he considered her a friend. Suddenly, Ko finds himself reminiscing about when Akira invited him to play, but since he was a normal boy, he declined her as he was busy watching ants carrying dead bugs. However, Akira didn't leave his side and decided to join him, insisting they should spend time together since they're friends. Now in the present, Ko brings himself to awkwardly greet Akira, this time as friends. He then asks her why she is in her uniform and comes to learn that she likes to go to school at 4 in the morning just for funsies. Akira then asks him what he is doing out so early, and Ko quietly replies that he is heading home. Instead of judging him, she just tells him they should meet again tomorrow. Once Akira leaves, Ko quickly calls Nazuna, revealing how he did have a friend after all. A few days later, Nazuna tells Ko that these days, he is leaving earlier than usual. Ko, of course, denies that and tells her that they spend plenty of time together, but Nazuna disagrees and says that he has started treating her like a quick pump and dump. To tease him further, she asks him if there is another woman in his life as a joke, but when she notices Ko's reaction, she realizes that her joke is actually not far from the truth. After leaving Nazuna's place in a rush, Ko meets up with Akira, and the two decide to spend some time in a park. This has become Ko's new routine. Every night, he leaves Nazuna's place a bit early so he can link up with Akira. Looking at Akira, he realizes that back then, she used to be a lot more cheerful. When Akira catches him looking, she asks him what's the matter, and Ko asks her if she enjoys hanging out with him. Instead of answering him, Akira asks if he's not having fun, and Ko replies that it's not about him, which makes Ko wonder if Akira likes him and wants to blow bubbles on his thing. All of a sudden, from the corner of his eyes, Ko notices a familiar silhouette hiding behind a tree. When he looks closely, he finds Nazuna grinning like a wacko. Approaching them, Nazuna tauntingly asks if this is love on the spectrum, while Ko starts to pee himself, wondering if Nazuna is upset, when she casually asks him if he's hooking up in secret. Akira, who had been confused by Nazuna's presence, asks Ko what's going on when the vampire assures her that she doesn't need to worry about her because her relationship with Ko is purely physical. In retaliation, Ko tells Nazuna to shut up when Akira realizes that the two are awfully close and asks her friend if he likes Nazuna. This makes the vampire blush. So to mask her embarrassment, she drinks Ko's blood in front of Akira, showing her that their relationship is not romantic at all. Seeing this, Akira asks Ko in horror and concern what in the Vampire Diaries is going on here. Nazuna then tries to salvage the situation by bringing Ko and Akira to a diner where she orders beer for herself and coffee for the two idiots. Once their drinks arrive, Akira asks Ko why he is letting Nazuna suck him up like a mosquito, and whether this has something to do with him not coming to school. Before he can answer, Nazuna interrupts and says school is for losers, but Akira shuts her off by saying monsters should not give their input on human matters. Ko finally speaks up and tells Akira that he left school because it was too bothersome. Understanding him, she reveals that she feels the same, but regardless of how they feel, he should still attend school unless he wants to star in OnlyFans. As the atmosphere becomes thick with tension, Nazuna addresses Akira and pointedly asks her why she never bothered checking up on Ko before, since Akira doesn't have an answer. She grows silent while Nazuna announces she's leaving. Ko quickly follows after her and asks if she is angry, but as always, Nazuna stubbornly says she isn't. Fed up with her attitude, Ko tells Nazuna that he won't know what's bothering her unless she tells him. Yet instead of understanding him, Nazuna angrily calls him an idiot and flies off. Now left alone, Ko decides to search through the city for his vampire baddie until he trips and injures himself. While resting, Ko hears a buzz from his transceiver and quickly apologizes to Nazuna. After a pause, Nazuna responds, asking why he's sorry. Ko dumbly says it's because she is angry with her when Nazuna asks him if he always apologizes to people who are angry with him. Once it finally clocks to him, he tells her he is sorry for secretly meeting a friend. However, Nazuna assures him she's not mad about that, prompting Ko to admit that a lonely virgin like him doesn't know what to do in such situations, but he still wants to make up with her. Suddenly, Nazuna appears in front of him and reveals that she was upset because he didn't outright tell Akira that he doesn't want to go back to school with her. In response, Ko tells her that he wasn't sure how he should tell a human that he isn't interested in education because his goal is to become a vampire. Realizing her mistake, Nazuna laughs when she notices Ko's bleeding face, cupping his face. She suddenly places a kiss on his lips and leaves him by saying that she'll see him tomorrow. Now alone, Ko mutters that friends don't kiss each other unless they're French. The following night, Ko quietly closes the door behind him and wonders where he will Nazuna when suddenly he recalls the kiss he had with her. Blushing slightly, he heads to the park and to his surprise, he finds the vampire waiting for him. This weirds him out a little since she is usually impossible to locate. At that moment, Ko realizes he's not ready to see Nazuna just yet. Turning away from the park, Ko takes a stroll across the city, wondering how he will act around Nazuna from now on. He suddenly spots the three drunkards from before and finds them cheering for a couple who is about to participate in the bedroom Olympics. Seeing the scene, Ko blushes heavily and reaches the conclusion that only people in love smush their lips together, which can only mean that he and Nazuna are in love. All of a sudden, he starts to celebrate since he will now become a vampire when Nazuna arrives and scolds him for making her wait. Ko replies confidently that he has achieved his goal and invites the vampire to take a sip of his blood. But when Nazuna sees his neck, she starts to tweak out and tells Ko to stop being so direct with her. She then tells Ko to come forward, and as he walks towards her, he can't help but think how he is going to be free from his old life. Once Nazuna bites his neck and drinks from him, Ko excitedly asks her if he has finally become Edward Cullen. Nazuna replies that he's still human, which upsets him, and he asks her why he hasn't yet turned into a vampire. In response, she tells Ko he has gotten everything wrong as one kiss isn't enough to fall in love. In fact, what he feels is lust and not love. Ko, now sweating buckets, realizes that he mistook the tingling in his ding-a-ling as something more. Nazuna laughs at his reaction and asks him if he wants a round 2, which makes him upset as he tells her it was his first kiss. In reply, Nazuna tells him that it was her first too, which surprises Ko, who asks her if she is okay with him being her first kiss. Nazuna smiles and tells Ko that she always knew her first kiss would be a malnourished wanker. Elsewhere, Akira tosses and turns in her bed, realizing that it has been a long time since she properly slept. Sighing, she dresses herself in her school uniform and heads out when she runs into Ko. Upon seeing her, he asks her why she is up so early, but Akira dodges the question and asks him if he is on his way to see Nazuna. Once he confirms, Akira tells him that he should try and get some sleep or else he will speedrun himself to an early death. Ko reminds her to take her own advice, but she assures him that unlike him, she prioritizes a good rest, changing the subject. Ko then invites her to hang out with him and Nazuna. So a couple of minutes later, they arrive at Nazuna's where they start gaming hard. As usual, Ko loses to Nazuna, which makes her ask Akira if she's cool enough to beat her. To make the match more fun, Nazuna tells Akira that she will give her a free kiss if she wins, but Akira passes on the offer by saying she only wants Ko's fluids. Suddenly, it dawns upon her that Nazuna must have given Ko some kisses here and there, and when the vampire confirms this, Akira turns towards Ko and warns him that loving Nazuna will make his wee-wee burn since she's such a hoe. Upon hearing this, Nazuna assures Akira that Ko isn't in love with her as he barely even likes her. Before Akira can ask further questions, Nazuna puts on a dating simulator game where Ko plays as the protagonist who gets every chick to bounce on his magic stick. Once the game advances, a new character is introduced, one with huge gazongas, and Nazuna instantly asks Ko if he likes girls with massive milkers. While he struggles to reply to Nazuna, Akira thinks to herself how Ko hasn't changed much. The thought fills her with relief, because when she first heard he'd been hanging out at night with Nazuna, she genuinely believed he was out there cosplaying as Spider-Man, throwing his white stuff all over her. But tonight, she was proven wrong as she saw for herself that Ko and Nazuna just chilled together. Suddenly, Nazuna announces they should sleep now, which sets off alarms in Akira's head as she angrily asks Ko if he has been sleeping with Nazuna. Ko quickly clarifies that there's nothing indecent about it when Nazuna interrupts and tells Akira to join them. At first, Akira finds the whole thing weird and she quickly gets up to leave when Nazuna tells her that it's raining outside and she doesn't have an umbrella. Out of options, Akira stays in the apartment but tells Nazuna to stop sucking Ko's blood in front of her. Once the vampire is done feeding, Ko cries and tells Nazuna to stop drinking his blood in front of his friends. Now curious, Akira asks Ko why he's letting Nazuna suck his blood. At first, he hesitates to tell her his reason but eventually admits that he wants to become a vampire. Akira looks at him weirdly and then awkwardly tells him that it's great that he has future goals. Now eased up, Ko reveals how he must fall in love with Nazuna and then have his blood sucked to unlock his transformation as the Dracula. In the meantime, Nazuna rolls on her bed in embarrassment and tells Ko to stop talking about love. Seeing her act out, Akira asks Ko what's wrong with Nazuna, and he reveals that while Nazuna loves freaky jokes, she gets awkward around the subject of romance. Now annoyed, Nazuna tells them it's time to sleep, and as they all lie together, Ko apologizes to Akira for dragging her into this. He tells her that he wanted to show her what he's up to so she doesn't worry about him. A smile forms on Akira's lips as she tells Ko that she's still going to be his friend once he turns into a vampire. With that, she rolls to her side and wishes that one day Ko will come to school with her. Suddenly, sleep takes over her, and when she wakes up, she realizes she is late for school. Seeing Akira panic, Nazuna tells her that people sleep well when they're satisfied with their days. The next day, Nazuna wakes up at noon. With plenty of hours to spend, she decides to game hard, but after facing a crushing defeat in Leagues of Legends, she decides to go pick up her parcel. To her annoyance, she learns the deliveryman came by when she was asleep and as a result, wasn't able to deliver her the parcel. Returning to her apartment, she wonders if she should tidy up her apartment and sighs, realizing it would have been better if she was living in a coffin. Not in the mood to clean, she plops on her couch, which was a souvenir from the set of Blacked, and watches the TV when she gets bored and decides to head out. On her way to the park, she encounters a stray kitten and stops to pet the little feline. After a while, she bids the cat goodbye and quickly realizes that she stinks badly. Not wanting Ko to accuse her of smelling like a tuna, Nazuna makes a stop at the sauna where she asks the receptionist to keep a close eye on her transceiver watch. Once inside, she washes herself clean but sighs sadly when she is unable to see her reflection in the mirror. Turns out, vampires don't have a reflection, which annoys Nazuna because now she can't doll up for her boo. Suddenly, she hears a buzz on her transceiver and rushes out to meet Ko, who is taken aback by her new look. Conscious of herself, Nazuna jokingly asks him if he is shocked at how cute she really is. When Ko looks at her shyly, Nazuna realizes she has bricked him up with just her face. Amazed by her own powers, she teasingly tells Ko that he is a sucker for gals, and in response he tries to change the subject by asking why her hair isn't made today. Nazuna then tells him that she was at the sauna, which makes Ko want to go there as well. Nazuna agrees, revealing that since he called her, she didn't get to soak properly, and so the duo arrives at the sauna. As Ko sits alone in the men's bath area, he can't help but wonder how many people peed in there before him. getting out. He then begins to think about Nazuna and how hanging out with her has made him feel emotions that he never felt before. Later on, when Nazuna asks him what he wants to do, Ko blushes, realizing that the only thing he wants to do right now is turn into Spider-Man and throw his white stuff on her. With his head filled with nasty thoughts, Ko becomes annoyed at himself and asks Nazuna to suck his blood. Once she snacks on him, Ko concludes there are benefits to getting his blood sucked. First, it helps the blood rushing to his family jewels to calm down a bit, and secondly, it helps him think clearly whether he feels love or lust for Nazuna. The more Ko dwells on the subject, the more he comes to realize that he is a little scared of falling in love. All of a sudden, Nazuna gives him a hug and says that she won't be able to control herself today and digs her fangs in his neck again. Upon feeling Nazuna's teeth, Ko notes that getting his blood sucked is both arousing and painful for him. Once Nazuna is done, Ko finds himself feeling lightheaded. Noticing a motel, he asks the vampire if they can rest there for a bit. Nazuna gives him a funny look but agrees, and once they are inside, Ko realizes why she was looking at him coyly. Turns out, they're in a love hotel, which makes Ko embarrassed and Nazuna excited as she asks him if he was able to access his feelings. Ko asks what she means, and Nazuna reveals that when she sucks his blood, she can tell what he's feeling. This frustrates Ko a little, who admits that while he sees her as a friend, it's annoying how he has nasty thoughts about someone he considers an amigo. However, Nazuna assures him that he doesn't need to worry about such things because the more emotions he feels, the better his blood tastes. And that is why, tonight his blood tasted the best. Before Ko can thank her, Nazuna quickly announces they need to watch dirty videos to make things freaky, which makes Ko facepalm internally. Later on, Ko thinks about how many people Nazuna drank from to know his blood tastes good. Now curious, he wonders if he should ask Nazuna her body count when she admits herself that, at the moment, she is only drinking from him. This only makes Ko more curious, who then asks her how she used to pick up her victims before, so Nazuna tells him that she used to lure people in her apartment by offering them cuddle services. Upon hearing this, Ko accuses her of using lonely Discord mods for her own good. To show Ko what she really does, Nazuna brings him to her apartment where she dresses as a nurse and offers him a massage service. Once Ko experiences Nazuna's services, he realizes that she must suck off her customers' blood once they're relaxed. This leads him to conclude that he's jealous of Nazuna having customers who aren't him, and now he wants to know more about her. Suddenly, she tells him to show his hand, and when he obeys, the vampire reveals how there are pressure points across his body, and when they're stimulated, he'll be able to sleep better. Getting hungry, Nazuna is about to slurp some blood when suddenly her doorbell rings. Upon checking, she learns it's a customer who ordered a massage course from her before. Swearing under her breath, she begs Ko to handle the customer since she is too tired to perform. So reluctantly, Ko goes to greet the female customer, and once she has settled in, Nazuna urges him to take care of her. She reveals her name is Kiyosumi, a MILF who looks like Mia Khalifa, so giving a massage to her would be fun for him. At first, Ko rejects her outright, but then Nazuna manages to convince him with the tempting offer of 2,000 yen and a kiss. Before arriving at Nazuna's place, Kiyosumi had a long night, drinking with her co-workers against her wish. Exhausted and enraged by how she had to put up with her ugly co-workers, she wonders if Nazuna can give her a bone-crushing massage again. With her mind made up, she heads for Nazuna's apartment, and instead of a baddie, she is greeted by a skinny chud. After waiting for a while, Kiyosumi is shocked to find Ko in a nurse outfit as he declares that he'll be the one giving her a massage. Once Ko begins, he reassures himself that he isn't helping Nazuna out because she promised him a kiss, and he's just in it for the bag. In the meantime, Kiyosumi wonders why she even signed up for a lousy massage and asks Ko how old he is. Upon learning that he is still going to school, she gets shocked and asks him why he is working when there is still time to be a corporate slave. For some stupid reason, Ko decides to open up to Kiyosumi and begins telling her how he stopped going to school and started wandering around the city at night. For him, this experience was so exhilarating that he decided that this is how he wants to live his life. After hearing him out, Kiyosumi reveals her own fascination with nighttime, explaining that 10 years ago, when she was in school, she also found herself enjoying the silence and peace of the night. Once she is done sharing her bit, she asks Ko why he stopped attending school, and he reveals that he got bored by everything. Before she can think he was a loser, Ko clarifies that he used to be a model student, which makes Kiyosumi laugh as she tells him that his life surely took 360. Since the massage session has turned into a vent session, Kiyosumi admits that she is burned out. She loves her job but hates having to deal with her bosses and colleagues. Suddenly, she starts to cry, confessing that she dislikes going for drinks with her coworkers. Out of nowhere, her phone starts to buzz and a look of horror takes over Kiyosumi's face. She tells Ko that her boss is calling and she must return to the office, which baffles him since it's still midnight. Kiyosumi reveals her boss likes to call her at ridiculous hours and quickly attends the call before she can get scolded by her supervisor. Seeing this, Ko realizes that Kiyosumi is a lot like him, and that's why he must do something to help her out. All of a sudden, he closes the door and sternly tells her that she is not leaving her massage in the middle. With that, he calls Nazuna, who appears from the walls, shocking Kiyosumi. Ignoring her reaction, Ko tells Nazuna that they must stop the lady from going back to work. Understanding her job, Nazuna swiftly throws Kiyosumi out of the window. shocking the poor woman and Ko. As Kiyosumi gets closer and closer to the ground, she wonders if this is the moment where she will be isekai'd as a vending machine when suddenly, Ko appears and grabs her hand, assuring her that she won't die. Within seconds, Nazuna arrives and takes a hold of Ko's hand, allowing them to make a smooth landing. Seeing Kiyosumi so rattled, Ko apologizes to her first and then tells her that he just didn't want her to leave. Still too stunned to speak, she asks him why it matters, and he tells her that she was crying so bitterly when her boss called. This makes Kiyosumi cry again, as she tells Ko that her job isn't like going to school. It's different and she must push past her sadness and go to her office when the boss calls. When Nazuna tries to tell her that it's messed up, Ko shushes her and tells Kiyosumi that he wants to become a vampire. Confused, Kiyosumi looks at Ko for more explanation, and he gladly obeys by revealing that Nazuna is a vampire, and for him to become one too, he must fall in love with her. With that said, he admits that he's weird, but the bigger weirdo is her boss, calling her at wee hours. And if she's going to live weirdly, then she might as well have some fun. This is why he chose to become a vampire, because unlike human beings, vampires aren't obligated to follow the norms and customs of the society. Kiyosumi takes a second to process everything, realizing that she's low-key envious at how ridiculous Ko is and ends up laughing out loud. Seeing her laugh, Ko walks towards the middle of the road and asks Kiyosumi, why would anyone want to give up on the nightlife? Kiyosumi follows him and admits that it feels liberating, but now she must head back to office. She thanks Ko, insisting that she feels relieved now and hopes that he becomes a vampire. With that, Kiyosumi turns to grab her things when Ko tells her that once he becomes a vampire, he'll turn her into one too. This way, she will always have an option of starting a new life. Kiyosumi smiles at the thought and then heads to her office. The next night, Ko arrives at Nazuna's place, who asks him in boredom that they should do something new tonight. Agreeing with her, Ko asks if they should go to a night pool, which intrigues the vampire so much that she announces they are going to a pool party. Once they arrive, Ko waits patiently for Nazuna to change into a bikini, wondering what fatherless swimsuit she'll have on. To his dismay, the vampire shows up in more clothes and tells him that she's going to get some beers. After she leaves, Ko acknowledges that somehow Nazuna looks even more hot with clothes on. Turns out, a lot of people have the same opinion as him, as he overhears people eyeing Nazuna like your thirsty uncle. A lot of people have the same opinion. Some of the dudes start hitting on Nazuna, hoping the vampire would tell the boys off. Ko waits patiently until he realizes that Nazuna's eating up the attention. Pissed off, he grabs her hand and takes her away. Now away from all the crowd, Ko tells Nazuna that he hated that everyone was trying to get into her pants before him. Understanding his feelings, Nazuna makes up with him by picking him up and throwing him in his school's pool. The next night, Ko walks by a bustling part of the city and hopes that no one will recognize him. Suddenly, he hears his name and becomes worried, but when he turns around, he finds Kiyosumi's smiling face. The two start talking as she buys him a drink and thanks him for changing her life by giving her an opportunity to become a vampire. After she leaves, Ko realizes that he has never been thanked before by anyone when suddenly it starts to pour heavily. Seeking shelter, he sits under a bridge when he notices a man get rejected by a blondie. After the failed pickup attempt, Blondie catches Ko looking and waves at him, so he politely waves back. Seconds later, she approaches Ko, asking what he thought just happened. Confused by the question, he answers that she rejected a poor slob, and the girl reveals that the man was so desperate to get action tonight that he even offered her money. Feeling sorry for her, Ko states that he completely understands why women choose the bears when the girl casually reveals that she was hoping to get picked. Baffled by her statement, Ko tells her that she has just set feminism back by 100 years. The girl shrugs, admitting that most of the time, she goes with random men so they can party through the night. Ko then asks her why she rejected the poor guy if that was the case, and Blondie reveals that the guy definitely had a limp shrimp, which isn't her type. Weirded out by her, Ko tries to analyze the girl as he wonders why she would put herself in so much danger when there have been murder documentaries on Netflix. Noticing his sharp gaze, Blondie teases him by asking if he wants to get a better look at her hot bod and flexes her cleavage. Beautiful! However, Ko quietly tells her if she hoes around like a 304, she will get funky diseases. The girl smiles at Ko's reaction, introducing herself as Siri. Before Ko can introduce himself, she steals his drink, making him follow her. Siri admits that it has been a drag hanging out with these old men since they're usually Mr. 2 Seconds men. As she admits to not enjoying herself, Ko thinks she is just like him and assures her that things will get better. Suddenly, Siri embraces him in a hug and tells him that he is a nice guy, but unfortunately nice guys finish last. With that, she mutters his name and is about to dig her fangs deep into his neck when suddenly Nazuna arrives, ripping the hoe in pieces. Enraged, she tells her that she is thought for stealing her prey, but Siri casually picks up her chopped arm and pieces it back together like it's nothing. Once she's done, she addresses Nazuna and reveals that the whole vampire community knows she is getting freaky with a human without turning him into an offspring. She reminds her that sucking blood is for siring offspring, and if she doesn't do that, she must eliminate the human. That said, Siri makes a move at Ko again, but once again gets beat down by Nazuna. Suddenly, another vampire appears and takes Ko away while Siri smugly reveals they were after Ko from the start. Meanwhile, the vampire named Kabura delivers Ko to a spot where all the blood-sucking baddies are holed up. Upon seeing him, the one called Nico states that he can pick any vampire and she'll turn him into an offspring. While Ko is lost in the sauce by seeing the crazy lineup of bombshells, Nico reveals that since he knows about the existence of vampires, he can't stay a human for long as he poses a threat to their kind. With that said, Nico introduces Ko to the other two babes present on the scene, Hatsuka and Midori. When it's time to make his pick, Ko casually tells everyone that he's waiting for Nazuna, surprising Nico, who asks him why he wants a dropout when he can have the creme de la creme of the vampire community. As Ko takes a seat beside Nico, Midori sweetly tells him that he will surely fall for her since virgins usually tend to go for pure chicks like her. Nico instantly throws a fit at that and confronts Midori as to why she thinks she's better suited to turn Ko into a vampire than her. After telling Midori off, Nico tells Ko that she has a lot in common with him, which makes all the other vamp baddies realize Nico is serious about making Ko her offspring. To everyone's surprise, Ko tells Nico that she reminds him of Nazuna the most. This upsets her and she angrily asks why he would tell her she's like a social reject. Now surprised, Ko asks Nico if Nazuna isn't popular, and the vamp baddies admit that while Nazuna is pretty, she doesn't put in any effort to make herself appealing, which is something they all must do to make humans attracted to them, as this is the only way they can have offsprings. Elsewhere, Nazuna faces Siri, who warns her that her reckless actions are putting Ko in danger. Sighing, Nazuna reluctantly tells her that she does intend to turn him into an offspring, which surprises Siri. Meanwhile, Midori tries to make a pass at Ko again, but her charms are unable to work on him, surprising everyone since nobody has ever said no to Midori before. Sighing, Hatsuka tells Ko that if he doesn't pick one of them to fall in love with, they'll have to eliminate him. That's when he reveals that he does want to become a vampire. Shocked like everyone else, Nico asks Ko if he's just saying this to save his neck, but he assures her that he fully intends to love Nazuna when the idiot arrives and hears this. Ko tries to check up on her, but realizes Nazuna is a blushing mess while the rest of the vamp baddies ask Nazuna how she plans on making Ko fall for her. When she stutters, Kabura gets up and asks her what's so special about Ko that she wants to make him an offspring. But seeing her hand on Ko's face, Nazuna sees red and tells Kabura that she'll end her right there and then. Nico tries to mediate the situation and tells Nazuna they're all just curious why Ko is so special, since Nazuna refuses to answer. Ko speaks on her behalf, revealing that Nazuna likes his blood, and in return, he wants to turn into a vampire. Nico laughs at this absurd arrangement, but realizes deep down Nazuna is open to making Ko her offspring. Noticing that things have lightened up now, Ko assures everyone that no matter how many years it takes, he will surely fall for Nazuna. However, when he finds everyone looking at him coldly, he realizes he messed up. That's when Nico reveals that he is about a year away from turning into a vampire. If he doesn't turn into one during this duration, he never will. When Ko looks at Nazuna for answers, she smiles bashfully and says she forgot to tell him that.
It's at this moment that he knew. He up.
Changing the subject, she announces it's time to take her boy toy home. Now uninterested in her business, Nico and the vamp baddies gossip about their own situationships when Nazuna remembers she has debt to pay. Seconds later, she kisses Ko, leaving everyone shocked as she tells him this is for when he massaged Kiyosumi. Before anyone can say anything, Nazuna grabs Ko and flies away. While getting a piggyback ride, Ko realizes that Nazuna is an outcast even by vampire standards. When he shares the thought with her, Nazuna asks in annoyance if he wants to be pancaked right now. This makes Ko smile as he admits that regardless of how weird she is, he is glad about meeting her first. The next night, he gives Akira the steaming hot tea about his encounter with the vamp baddies and tells her how he just has 1 year to become a vampire. However, she points out that he has a bigger problem to worry about. If he doesn't fall in love with Nazuna, all the vampires will have a cookout with his body. At that moment, Ko realizes he's in deep doo-doo and starts to panic when Akira assures him that she will help him fall for Nazuna. The next day, Akira heads to school but finds herself worrying about Ko and his pickle with the vampires. Suddenly, she spots a person lying on the staircase, and upon looking closely, she learns it's Mahiru. The boy stirs awake and greets Akira, revealing he was napping here because he was out all night. Surprise, Akira wonders if everyone's a nocturnal these days, while Mahiru confesses that there's a chick he likes, and since she is only available at night, he has to stay late for her. Akira asks him if he's seeing a vampire, which confuses him, so he changes the subject and asks her if she remembers how she and he used to hang out together. Akira tells him that she doesn't really remember much, since he always had other friends he was chilling with. Mahiru feigns hurt and then tells Akira to let Ko know that he was thinking about him. With that, the two bid their goodbyes, but Akira can't help but wonder who's the mystery girl that's keeping her friend awake. Later that night, Ko runs into Siri and recalls the grotesque fight sequence that happened between her and Nazuna. Before he poops himself, He decides to run, but Siri grabs him and assures him that she has no intentions of torturing him today. Ko eventually believes her, and the two get to talking as he fills her in on what happened with the vamp baddies. He admits that the 1-year limit has made him anxious since he doesn't know if he can fall in love with Nazuna in such a short period of time. Siri listens to him intently while Ko spirals out of control as he wonders what it really means to be in love. Seeing him struggle with the subject of love, Siri's water sprinkler goes off as she loves how naive Ko really is. Then, out of excitement, she tells him to leave everything on Siri, the love guru. A few seconds later, Ko arrives at Nazuna's door and invites her on a date, but she closes the door on his face, ticked off. He switches off her game, which annoys Nazuna since the game didn't autosave. Apologizing lightly, Ko urges her to go out with him, so she ends up caving and they decide to go to a cinema. Unfortunately, Ko makes the mistake of picking a rom-com, which fries Nazuna's brain cells, making her eligible for the special needs check. Exiting out of the theater, the two enter a cafe where Nazuna instantly confronts Ko by asking if someone gave him a list of lame date ideas. He struggles to answer since Siri warned him not to tell Nazuna that this was her idea, but when Nazuna spots the list, she instantly realizes this is Siri's work. She then tells Ko that this is all very boring and leaves the cafe. Once Ko returns home, he becomes upset that the date didn't end with his wee-wee looking like a wet crime scene. All of a sudden, he hears a knock at his window and finds Nazuna looming over. She casually tells him that they can still complete the date list, and then without taking his consent. She grabs him and flies over the city so they can look at the city lights. As they fly together, Nazuna tells Ko to be his usual self because that's the only way they can have fun. After sucking his blood, Nazuna drops him on the ground and vanishes. Now left alone to wander around, Ko suddenly spots Mahiru and his group. Luckily, they don't spot him, or at least that's what Ko thinks for a moment, when suddenly he feels a hand on his shoulder. Upon turning, he finds Mahiru, and the two end up going to a park together where Ko admits that he didn't think he would recognize him. Mahiru smiles and says they're friends, so it was easy to spot him. However, Ko wonders how he's having these friends when he doesn't remember initiating any friendship with Mahiru or Akira. Yet, even between his confusion, he feels glad that Mahiru considers him a friend since everyone knows Mahiru is a chill guy. Before they know it, Akira joins in and asks them if they're turning this anime into yaoi. Startled by her presence, Ko asks her when did she come, but Akira ignores his question and snitches on him by telling Mahiru how their buddy is skipping school to meet up with a weird chick. In response, Mahiru smiles and tells the duo that he has to leave since someone is waiting for him. Before leaving, Mahiru tells Ko that talking to him has given him courage. Later that night, Ko links up with Nazuna, who decides to initiate things by holding his hand. The next night, Siri goes through her phone and sees a simp texting her persistently. This pisses her off, and she says to herself how she was thinking about turning this goober into one of her offsprings, but since he's so desperate, she might just game end him. Suddenly, she notices Ko and rushes to hug him when she gets a soul-crushing kick on her face. As she tries to balance herself, Ko asks Nazuna why she would do something like that when Siri didn't do anything. Nazuna apologizes insincerely and tells Ko that every time she sees Siri's unseasoned face, she gets angry. Before she can finish explaining to Ko how vampires are strong and Siri won't even feel her kick, she gets sucked into a fight with Blondie. Finally, Siri waves the white flag and tells Nazuna that she never had intentions of hurting Ko. However, Nazuna finds that hard to believe and asks Siri why she is hovering around Ko anyways. Blondie grows quiet and then tells Nazuna that she was only teasing Ko and takes her leave. Suddenly, Ko runs up to her and asks if she is okay since she looked a bit troubled. Initially, Siri stays quiet and then asks him if he wants to go karaoke with her. A few minutes later, they arrive at the karaoke bar where Siri asks Ko what happened between him and Nazuna. He replies that she got annoyed with him and left, which makes Siri giggle a little. Thinking this is her chance, she tells Ko that she is super popular unlike Nazuna, and sometimes that can be a drag. However, when she looks at Ko's blank face, she realizes that he wouldn't get what being popular means, but he assures her that he understands what she means. Because even a loser like him can get annoyed with people who make love their entire life. Hearing this, Siri eases up a bit and tells Ko that it makes a lot of sense why he hangs out with Nazuna since she is anti-love. She then casually admits that if men pester her too much, she can always eat them, so that works very well for her. Terrified by her casualness, Ko asks if she is joking, but Siri ignores his question and announces that it's time to do some karaoke. To her misfortune, she quickly finds out Ko has never heard of Drake or Chief Keef. Bummed out, she tells him to sing first and is appalled to find out that Ko listens to old people's music. As she tries to ask him what were his top 5 songs on Spotify Rap, the door begins to thud loudly. Startled, Ko looks over and sees a silhouette of a man banging the door loudly. He asks Siri if she thinks the man has the wrong room, but she quietly apologizes and says this is the downside of being too popular. The man starts panting audibly and begs Siri to come out, which freaks Ko out as he tells the vampire that this looks a lot like the start of a murder story. Seeing Siri so calm, Ko freaks out more and asks her what will happen if her boy toy breaks down the door. In response, she assures him that the loser doesn't have the balls to do that and casually greets him from the room, which sends the man away. Seeing this, Siri confidently tells Ko that she just has to breadcrumb her simps, and then they leave her alone for a bit. Not liking how she's treating the whole event, Ko asks her what she intends to do about such creeps who tend to invade her private life. But this annoys Siri, who asks him why he's getting all serious with her, and then tells him again that she has no problem in eliminating such bothersome losers. In reply, Ko states that she is acting like an entitled vampire, which upsets her further. Siri retorts back that humans are the ones who act entitled. They usually never care about anyone other than themselves, but when vampires do the murdering, they get all judgmental. Ko, now equally riled up, tells Siri that he understands that sometimes violence is the only answer, but that rule doesn't apply to lonely gooners like the one lurking behind the door. Suddenly, the door opens and the man walks in, asking if they're fighting about him. All it takes is one look at those dilated pupils for Ko to realize that he can't have a rational conversation with someone like him, and now begins to piss his pants in horror. And yet when Siri tries to finish him off, Ko jumps to protect him. He tells the creep to run as Siri warns him that she will eliminate whoever gets in her way. Once they successfully escape, the man asks Ko what's his relationship with Siri. When he tries to tell him they don't have a relationship, the man refuses to believe him, and that's when Ko realizes this goober is in love. Believing he can be helpful, he begs the man to tell him what it's like to love. After calming down a bit, he introduces himself as Akiyama and reveals that he encountered Siri on a random night. He tripped and his glasses fell off, and then Siri appeared in front of him, like an angel. At first, they started speaking normally, but over time, he became obsessed with her and always wondered what she was up to. Upon hearing Akiyama, Ko blankly tells him that Siri is deeply annoyed by men like him when the vampire appears and confesses that she purposely led him on so he'd fall for her and become her offspring. Suddenly, Ko intervenes and tells Siri that he's not going to let her murder Akiyama, and when she tries to attack him first, Nazuna arrives and pins her down, seeing everything unfold. Akiyama wonders what bizarro world he's in and tells everyone that he's friends with Siri. That's when Blondie comes clean and reveals that she never wanted to turn Akiyama into a vampire and just wanted to hang out with him as friends. Realizing what's up, Nazuna relaxes while Siri tearfully says her goodbyes to Akiyama and tells him that she loved being friends with him. But since she's a vampire and he's a human, they can't see each other anymore. Akiyama smiles and tells Siri that he's in love with her so she can turn him into her offspring. Wiping her tears away, Siri bites Akiyama, officially turning him into a vampire, while Ko looks at them with slight envy. Later on, Siri invites everyone to go karaoke to celebrate her new offspring, and Ko finds himself feeling genuine happiness in the moment. A couple of nights later, Midori works the streets, promoting her maid cafe when she receives a text on her phone. One of her colleagues took an abrupt holiday and now she is short-staffed. Bummed out, she wonders who she should call for help and realizes that she only knows hot vampires, since she doesn't want them stealing her best customers. Midori hopes to find someone who isn't too cute when suddenly she spots Nazuna and Ko. Upon seeing her, Midori pesters her to help her out just one time since she's perfectly awkward for the job. Nazuna agrees and dresses up for the job. She then asks Ko what he intends to do, and he replies that he's just going to wait until her shift is over. Upon hearing this, Midori slyly thinks that this is a perfect opportunity to show him just how cute she is since he had the gall to reject her. Without further ado, she pushes Ko out and tells him to come again so they can greet him properly. Ko follows the instructions quietly and knocks on the door, allowing Midori to cutely greet him. However, seeing her try so hard, his wee-wee becomes so limp that he wonders if he needs a funeral for his noodle. Picking up on his reaction, Midori just sighs and tells Nazuna to greet him. But when she nonchalantly says hi, Midori gets upset and tells Nazuna to put more effort in her maid character. To help her ease into the role, Midori displays her own skills as she serves a fat corporate slave some coffee with a dash of cuteness. The loser instantly gets smitten by her, which confuses Ko since he doesn't understand why the fat pig would fall for something so fake. Suddenly, his observation is interrupted by a hot babe who greets him by calling him cute, which surprises him. She then introduces herself as Arisa and starts yapping about her favorite cakes, even though nobody asked for it. However, Ko is impressed by how dedicated she is to the role and realizes she's a better actor than Paul Dano. Clearing his thoughts, he tells Arisa that he's here with Midori, which makes her think that he fancies her. Ko tries to clarify, but Arisa cuts him off and praises Midori for being the best. She then reveals that before Midori came to the cafe, she was number one. Upon hearing Arisa compliment Midori, Ko wonders if the reason why he's not impressed by Midori is because he's aware that she's a vampire and knows that vampires have an extra allure to them because they have to charm humans to make offspring. Meanwhile, Midori gives Ko a flying kiss, confident that it will woo him, but it only makes him more uninterested in her. Later on, Nazuna, Midori, and Ko hang out in the staff room when Midori tells Nazuna they should take pictures together for social media. Once she opens Instagram, she finds pictures of one of the maids in provocative poses. Ko instantly gets interested in zooms, in which makes Midori think he's a huge gooner, but Ko clarifies that the person in the photos is Arisa, and it appears that someone took non-consensual pictures of her. This pisses off Midori as she wonders why a stalker wouldn't take sussy pics of her. The top maid when Ko reminds her that this isn't something she should be mad about. Realizing he is right, she asks him to help her catch the stalker so Arisa can feel safe. Agreeing to help her, Ko puts on his Sherlock hat and starts digging for clues when Arisa sneaks up on him and whispers that if he keeps staring at her dirty pics, she'll get embarrassed. Startled by her presence, Ko tries to tell her that he's purely looking at the photos for the greater good. Arisa smiles and assures him that she knows he's trying to help her. Once the trust has been established, Ko resumes his detective work and examines the room where the photos were taken. He heads to the window, wondering if the stalker somehow took it from there when Arisa tells him that she needs to change for her shift. Feeling embarrassed, Ko rushes out where he meets Nazuna, who reveals that she has been patrolling the area, but hasn't found anyone suspicious. Wanting to get to the bottom of this mess, Ko asks Nazuna to fly him to the balcony so he can be sure of the angle where the photos were taken from. Once Nazuna takes him to the balcony, Ko analyzes the area and racks his head over how the stalker got here when the only entrance to the balcony is locked. Suddenly, Nazuna wonders if Midori did it since she's a vampire who can fly. A sigh leaves Ko's mouth as he realizes Nazuna is a moron for thinking it's Midori, because why would the most popular maid in the cafe do something like this? Suddenly, the window opens and Arisa gets shocked when she spots Nazuna and Ko outside the balcony. With her phone in her hand, she nervously asks them what they're doing and Nazuna assures her that they're just trying to catch the stalker. Once she leaves, Ko tries to angle his phone from the balcony, and to help him out, Nazuna stands in the room and poses for him. However, when he takes a photo of her, he straight up tells her that she looks extremely chopped from this angle, whereas all the photos of Arisa were top 10 goon material. Looking at the pictures herself, Nazuna realizes Ko is right when something suddenly clicks in his brain, and he tells Nazuna that he is close to solving this case. Once their shift ends, Ko gathers the vampires in the staff room and tells them to hide once Arisa enters the room. With the plan in motion, Midori and Ko hide in one locker, and when the moment is right, they bust in on Arisa clicking her own photos. Realizing her game is up, Arisa admits that she was her own stalker, while Midori asks Ko how he figured everything out. He then explains that if this was done by a real stalker, he would have taken random photos in a hurry, but the pictures they saw were too perfect. Finally, Ko turns to ask Arisa why she did something so weird, but Midori answers for her, revealing that Arisa's goal was to get popular again since she stole her spot. Embarrassed, Arisa remains quiet as Midori tells her what she did was messed up. Ko tries to tell her to go easy on Arisa, but Midori continues by saying that everyone is a little messed up so she shouldn't worry too much about. A few nights later, Ko returns to the maid cafe where he takes a selfie with Arisa, who appears to be much happier than before. A couple of nights later, Nazuna reveals her new interior to Ko, which she got after working at the maid cafe. Seeing the bed, Ko wonders if he'll ever get to break it by taking Nazuna to Pound Town when the vampire excitedly yells that capitalism is awesome and they should totally make more money. When he asks how she intends to do that, Nazuna reveals they should get serious about their massage parlor. Understanding his assignment, Ko heads out to look for tired, weary corporate slaves who are in need of a good massage. On his way, he encounters a lonely MILF and asks her if she wants to talk about whatever's bothering her, but just as the words leave his mouth, Ko realizes he sounds like a gooner trying to get some. As he frets around his words, trying to clarify himself, the woman casually tells him that she's down for whatever he has in mind. A few moments later, they arrive at a cafe where he tells the lady he's not trying to get into her pants.
Come on, man.
This upsets the woman, who admits that she has been so lonely that her hoo-ha has gotten webs around it. Clearing his throat, Ko explains that he's in the service industry and was looking for people who need a good massage. Thinking it's the kind of freaky massage that appears on P-Hub, the woman accuses Ko of wanting to do naughty things with her. However, he quickly tells the lady that the masseuse would be a female, which prompts her to ask if he's a part-timer working for someone else. Once he confirms, the woman reminds him that it's against the law for people his age to work after 5, and she can get him in a lot of trouble if she decides to rat him out to the authorities. At that moment, Ko experiences real fear when the woman laughs, introducing herself as Anko and assures Ko that she was just playing with him. While Ko eases up, Anko reveals that she is a private detective, which piques his interest, and he eagerly asks for more details about the nature of her job. Lighting up a cigarette, Anko informs him that she mostly deals with cases involving cheating spouses and missing persons. She then pulls out her phone and shows Ko a photo, asking him if he knows a man called Akiyama. Upon seeing him, Ko starts sweating profusely and hesitantly tells Anko that he knows nothing, but the detective smells his fear like a shark smells blood. Grabbing his hand, she asks him if he's sure, and when Ko refuses to cave in, she backs off and apologizes for her behavior. Handing him some money, Anko takes her leave while Ko is left shaken up like a leaf. Later that night, Anko smirks, realizing that her encounter with Ko proved to be very helpful. Meanwhile, Ko heads out to meet up with Mahiru, and once Akira arrives, Mahiru reveals they should have an adventure tonight by sneaking into their school. Akira is on the fence about the whole plan, but when she sees Ko agreeing to it, she relents and joins the boys. As the squad makes their way in, Mahiru admits that the purpose of this adventure was to make more memories. Akira calls him a cornball, but Mahiru takes the insult with pride, insisting that he wants to have plenty of memories with his best buds. In the hallways, Mahiru announces they should check out if the ghost stories about their school are real or not, starting with the toilet ghost, Hanako-san. Since the story began from the girls' washroom, Mahiru tells Akira to check it out for them, which earns him a boink on the head from her. Nonetheless, Akira goes inside and tries to summon Hanako-san when Mahiru tries to scare her off by creepily answering her back. After beating Mahiru again, Akira and Ko proceed with their paranormal investigation. After a while, they get tired and decide to rest when Mahiru asks them if they have heard about the teacher who went missing 10 years ago. His friends assure him that the story is as fabricated as the other ghost stories, but Mahiru insists that he heard from others that the ghost of the teacher plagues the school now. After hearing him rave about it so much, Akira and Ko give in and decide to check the story for themselves. However, upon entering a class, they find a strange man standing inside who gruffly tells them they shouldn't be out so late. Before anyone can react, he pounces on Akira and pins her down while Mahiru tries to pry him off. Unfortunately, the creature proves too tough for Mahiru to handle alone, so he seeks Ko's help, who is unable to move. Meanwhile, Ko observes the man in horror, realizing his movements are oddly familiar. Finally snapping out of his daze, he hits the vampire with a chair and saves Akira in time. As the undead lies on the floor, Ko wonders why he's so different from other vampires who are light and beautiful. While he's having these questions, the vampire yells at them to leave him alone as he has tried his best not to drink anyone's blood. Suddenly, they hear a woman's voice echoing in the hallway, saying how she had been in the area and was right to stop by the school because now she has hit a jackpot. Ko looks up and finds Anko lighting up a smoke as she unveils her neck, tempting the vampire to give in to his bloody inclinations. Unable to resist now, the vampire pins Anko down, but when he bites her neck, he begins to choke. Addressing the three idiots, Anko tells them that the man was turned into a vampire 10 years ago, and since then, he never drank blood. Tonight was supposed to be his last night, but then they showed up and ruined everything. Confused, Ko asks why he wouldn't drink blood, which ticks off Anko, who asks him why would anyone willingly choose to become a monster. This shocks Ko, while Anko consoles the poor vampire, who rants about how he was tricked by a female vampire into becoming her offspring. Anko assures him his suffering will end today and places a silver ring in his palm, which makes the vampire wither in pain. However, Anko refuses to let him leave, urging him to die as a human being. The sun finally comes up and the vampire turns to dust, which enrages Ko, who confronts Anko over why she murdered the man. Annoyed by his weirdness, she grabs him and asserts that he knows nothing.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
That day, Ko realizes that he still has a lot to learn about vampires. Unable to sleep that night, Ko decides to see Nazuna, but when he arrives, he finds the vampire salivating at the sight of him. She eagerly tells him how she would have lost herself if she didn't drink his blood, which brings back his memories from last night. In this state of confusion, he pushes Nazuna, who quickly realizes something's off with Ko. As the two sit together to chat, Ko tells her what happened, and Nazuna assures him that something like this wouldn't happen to her. However, knowing Ko is still shaken up, she takes him out on a walk where she reveals that if a vampire doesn't feed for 10 years, they die. After telling him that, she inquires about the detective lady he had the displeasure of meeting, and Ko explains that he doesn't really know Anko, but believes that she somehow knows that he wants to become a vampire. As Nazuna tries to understand the situation, she asks Ko if he has second thoughts about becoming a vampire. He admits that he doesn't know what to do now since Anko knew how to eliminate a vampire. In response, Nazuna tells him that there's no way a human can defeat a vampire when Ko confesses that he doesn't want her getting hurt because of him. With that said, he urges Nazuna to take a sip of his blood, realizing that the only way he can overcome his bad memories is by facing them head on. Once Nazuna has fed on him, Ko decides to join Mahiru, who is out delivering flowers to a customer. Upon meeting the lady and her twin peaks, Ko is unable to resist the urge of staring them down. The woman teases him over it, while Mahiru later calls him a man of culture. Then turning all serious, he asks Ko why he wants to become a vampire. Before he can answer, Mahiru goes on a rant about how he knows that he doesn't like to go along the norms of society and is burned out by his studies, but he should still reconsider his decision about becoming a blood-sucking fiend after last night. Ko tries to answer Mahiru when he asks him what he wants to accomplish by turning into a vampire. At first, he thinks about how he will be completely free, but then realizes that he is free now as well since he doesn't go to school and hangs out with whomever he pleases. Frustrated by Ko's silence, Mahiru shakes him and urges him to be sure of his reasons before becoming an undead. Once Mahiru leaves, Ko returns to Nazuna and embraces her in a hug, asking her if she knows what he's thinking. Having a faint idea about what's going through his head, Nazuna announces they should go to his place tonight for a change of scenery. Upon entering Ko's room, Nazuna launches a search for Dirty Mags. When he asks her what she's up to, Nazuna excitedly asks him where he is hiding his dirty underpants. Ko sighs, realizing that he invited a freak into his fine establishment when Nazuna turns serious and asks if he is still having second thoughts about being a vampire. Ko admits that he likes the idea of becoming a creature of the night, but he is worried he will end up hurting someone dear to him, like the starving vampire he saw at his school. He also adds that as long as he is with her, he feels confident about his decision. That's when Nazuna gives a sad smile and says the reason why he enjoys the night is that it's a different way of living for him. However, once he becomes a vampire, that will be his new reality and he will eventually get bored. To make him believe her, Nazuna confesses that she has been a vampire for decades and there's nothing fun about it, and this was all a facade to keep him interested in her. Baffled by the truth, Ko quietly asks her why she is only telling him this now. Nazuna admits that she doesn't know and turns to leave when Ko attempts to stop her but ends up falling on top of her. Believing he's about to have the best 2 seconds of his life, Ko is left stranded when Nazuna leaves him by simply licking his neck. Later that night, he meets with Anko, who was expecting him to hit on her. However, he clarifies that he's not here for her manko, making her realize that he has questions about vampires. Before getting into the nitty-gritty, Ko asks Anko how much she knows about him, and she begins telling him about how he likes to goon, what he goons to, how much he goons, and which hand he uses to goon with. Embarrassed by how correct she is, Ko begs Anko to stop causing her to laugh as reveals that she just said everything on a hunch. Calming down, Ko then asks her why she is so against vampires, and Anko calls him an idiot, stating that vampires are a danger to humanity as they see humans as nothing more than food. When Ko tries to defend his decision of becoming a vampire, Anko corners him by saying that he can't become one since he is incapable of falling in love anyways. She continues to break his spirit by telling him how he's going to wind up dead either way, because if he doesn't become a vampire, the vampires will eliminate him, and if he somehow transforms into one, then he's going to die by her hands along with Nazuna. In response, Ko asks Anko if she can really annihilate vampires, but instead of replying to him, she tells him that everything depends on his decision. Now trembling with fear, Ko tells her that if he chooses to be a human, the vampires will murder him. That's when Anko reveals her master plan of exterminating all the vampires from the city. Ko finally snaps out and tells the psycho detective that he doesn't agree with her worldview because he believes not all vampires are evil. Upon being opposed, Anko calls 911 and rats him out to the police. Once the call ends, she wickedly tells Ko the police will be here in seconds, making him run for his life. Upon arriving at the park, he is greeted by Hatsuka. As they chat for a while, Hatsuka invites him to her place, and he agrees to follow her inside, but once the door opens, Ko watches a bunch of humans rushing to greet Hatsuka like she's Charles Mason. Despite their energetic welcome, Hatsuka casually tells them to get out since she has a visitor, but when they try to dispute her, she sternly tells them to get out, which does the job. With the house now empty, Hatsuka heads to take a shower while Ko is left alone to wonder what the fudge just happened. The more he thinks about Hatsuka, the more he feels weird about the whole situation when she yells at him to grab a towel for her. That is when he realizes that Hatsuka comes with bonus equipment. Meanwhile, oblivious to Ko's reaction, Hatsuka casually tells him to fetch him a towel, but the boy is unable to take his eyes off his girth monster. Couple of seconds later, Hatsuka finally addresses the elephant in the room, which is basically his trunk, and tells Ko that he is actually a boy. Seeing his reaction, Hatsuka admits that he thought Nazuna would tell him about his gender when Ko breaks down, and says that Nazuna doesn't tell him anything. In the meantime, Nazuna greets the vampire baddies and casually reveals that Ko won't be becoming a vampire and they should all leave him alone. Nico is enraged by Nazuna's audacity and pulverizes the table. Finally turning towards Nazuna, she states that since it's against the rules to turn on fellow vampires, she is just going to have to end Ko. Nazuna remains unfettered and tells Nico that if she touches Ko, she is dead meat, but this only riles Nico, who angrily asks her what Ko means to her. Elsewhere, Hatsuka learns from Ko that he is having second thoughts about becoming a vampire, so he scolds him for being a wimp. When Ko reveals about Anko and her vampire hunting abilities, which concerns Hatsuka. After learning about the method Anko used to eliminate the vampire, Hatsuka admits to Ko that vampires don't know much about themselves, which is why Nazuna was unable to reveal much to him. Changing subjects, Hatsuka then pins Ko down and begs him to give him a taste when Ko nervously asks why he likes to dress as a trap. Hatsuka reveals that he's cute and knows in this economy everyone loves a good femboy. Intrigued by Hatsuka's life, Ko then asks him if he fell in love with a vampire and ever had trouble about his own existence as one. Suddenly, his phone buzzes and upon checking it, Hatsuka shows a picture of the broken table to Ko. When he asks him if he knows what this is about, Ko states that Nazuna must be trying to protect him from other vampires. Hatsuka then reveals that the vampire community treats its own members much more strictly, so at this moment Nazuna's life is at more risk than his. Ko rushes to help Nazuna when Hatsuka throws him back down and proposes to him that he should let him turn him into a vampire. When Ko tries to object, Hatsuka pointedly states that Nazuna won't make an effort of making him love her, which is just going to create unnecessary trouble for both of them. And since he's a guy, he naturally knows how to give a good head, which is important for the love factor. the more Ko thinks about it. The more he realizes that Hatsuka would indeed be a good candidate for his first love experience. However, to test him further, he asks what makes him sure that he'll be able to rizz him up. Hatsuka darkly replies that as a man, he knows how to manipulate, but not only that, he's cute and knows how to give good brain, so when you combine all of these factors, it's obvious that anyone will fall for him. After giving it much thought, Ko realizes that this is still too fruity for him, but he tells Hatsuka that it's not about the gender, he personally just wants to fall in love with Nazuna. With that said, he bids him goodbye and rushes out to the spot where all the vampire babes hang out at. Upon arriving, he learns from Nico that Nazuna has already left, which fills him with relief, since he now knows she's safe. But when Nico reveals that Nazuna won't be meeting him for a while, it ticks off Ko, making him storm off. On the way, he hears sirens, realizing that the police are still after him when suddenly 2 officers approach him. Before they can catch him, Ko jumps off from the bridge, acknowledging that the nightlife can be both scary and fun. He hopes to find Nazuna quickly so he can tell her how she has taught him to enjoy his life when elsewhere. Nazuna wanders around, wondering if Ko will forgive her for lying about how fun it is to be a night owl. As she stops to grab a beer, she suddenly finds Ko next to her, who complains that he looked for her everywhere. Upon seeing him, Nazuna blushes red, which confuses Ko, who tries to ask about her well-being. However, she avoids looking at him. While at the vampire hangout spot, Hatsuka finds out that Nico allowed Nazuna to leave because she gave her juicy details about her love life. Turns out, she made Nazuna promise that she will put in the work of making Ko fall for her. Meanwhile, Ko declares to Nazuna that before meeting her, he was bored of his life, but now he enjoys his life thanks to her. Without facing him, Nazuna tells him that she enjoyed herself with him as well. She finally faces him, hoping to run away from here so he's safe from vampires, when Ko grabs her and says that together, they make the best team, and that's why he fully intends to fall in love with her. Seeing him ramble on, Nazuna smashes her lips against him so he knows she's ready to make efforts for him. Do you also want a vampire baddie? Comment vampires if you want part 2. Like and subscribe for more anime content. Also watch this video on screen.